Oh, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever you are. Welcome to Butterline. This is the show that we discuss issues to the bone of everything. And I have with me today the most powerful team on Butterline. Welcome, guys. Welcome, Orita. Welcome, Mark. Welcome, Jamal. How you guys doing? Start with the ladies first.
I'm good, Paul. Hello, gentlemen. Good evening.
Thank you very much. Greetings to you all from the city of Manchester, where football is a religion. We say hi to everybody wherever you are. If you're listening to us from anywhere around the world, welcome to Borderline Liberia.
Yeah. Brother Far, how are you?
Grateful. Hope everyone doing okay. And it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. So let us get started. And greetings to everyone that's following us as well.
Right. So just mute yourself a little bit, the feedback.
Yeah, my man, only you giving me hard down the feedback, Jamal, not giving me hard down. I hold on your computer, get go.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good to be back here. We're going to have interesting topic to them, but while we wait some of our guests to show up, we let us to share the show in our viewer link and ask our viewers to also share the show. While sharing, I will start with a music. We'll have people that will discuss the topic on a discussion. So I will go into the music while we're sharing. And so I will start with one of the most exciting music of our time to remind us all in Liberia. I will go with Takunje.
My people, where you at? Wake up from your slumber, stop sleeping. Wave your hands. Come on. I know you're sleeping now. You gotta wake up some more, yeah? Okay, let's go. People fool us, the people lie to us, the government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they will not do. I said we tired with their lies, we tired with their promises that led us to all our damages. We tired with that speech they preach in thee, and now unique they deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrate us. So why did you lie? Why did you steal? Why did you allow the citizens to be? You see, we just tell you that why we voted you. But you fool us, you screw us, you use us and later on abuse us. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. The people fool us, the people lie to us, the government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they will not to corrupt. No one to trust. My people, no one to hope on. Nobody. My hope that I have been broken. I'm telling you, brother. So where are the schools? Where are the roads? Where are the jobs that they say they could afford? But they're too selfish. The people tired with their rhetoric. People tired, they tired. You see the reason why we ask why the government betray. They have enough of time, but yeah, then instead they delay. People suffer. No work for people crying for hunger. Look at. Your vision and your mission, your intention to the nation, they poor. You got nothing to show. Nothing. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. They lie. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They betray us. They lie. us, oh. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they go knock the for us. With the promises that led us to all our damages. We tired with that speech they preach indeed, and now unique they deceive us. The thing we saw it frustrate us. So why can't you lie? Why can't you steal? Why can't you allow the citizens to be? You see, we just tell you that why we both tell you, but you fool us. You screw us, you use us and later on abuse us. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They betray us so much. I said they lie.
Wow, the government betrayed us, they lied to us. This is one of the best music from the land. And everything that happening in Liberia now, I think Taku J, he saw the vision when he wrote this song. So it's good to be here. And before we start today, I know you guys, I don't know, Orito, you are Manchester supporter. Jemai is a Manchester supporter. For me, I support one of the great things called the invincible that nobody have beaten in England for a long time now. It seems that this year we gave him a lot of people running stormy. So I support Arsenal. Brother Far, what team do you support?
A king of European football, man. Your family say that.
Hello.
Real Madrid again.
Oh, all right. Okay. The thing is, we'll have Jesus Christ in our team. So
Jamal, we're not hearing you.
Before I give Orita a chance to speak, I think Paul should take to set record straight. Just recently, we Arsenal with Man United. What was the results? We all know what happened.
Thank you, Jamal.
Thank you, Jamal. You know,
you said nobody has beaten Arsenal before.
No. Listen, this is the only team in the Premiership that won 49 games unbeaten. So I can tell you for that, the history is there.
Please.
You came closer by beating us because Jesus went to the mountain to pray and he left the disciples sleeping. That's what we came. Okay. So since he came back, now we've been on fire.
Probably Jesus won't, when you go back into the sky, you guys will be busy. Anyway, Orita, what you have to say about what Paul is saying about this United thing?
For me, they just been having luck.
Thank you.
Luck.
I think that's a short answer to it.
But they know deep down, Man U is the emblem of Premier League.
You know what Arsenal is claiming today, Man U has had it years back. History-wise, you look at Premier League, Man U had a history. So I think my brother here, Mark, can attest to that. I don't want to go into that. We have serious business to talk about it tonight. So let's leave that. Football history. Football is history. You know. Paul, don't bring the Arsenal thing here. We need to continue with serious business here.
The thing is, because of footballing nation, I just had to put it in. And the way we fly now, we beat Liverpool the other day. We dismantle our bitter rival Tottenham. Now we're going to dismantle City the net after the World Cup. So we just on one. I just want you guys to know that this is anyway.
They can always start in the beginning of the league. They can always win. And then from the middle down, people can be looking for them like they can always win. And then from the middle down, people can be looking for them like.
So anyway, tonight we're going to have a few things to discuss. We just ask our viewers, those who just joining us for the first time, kindly share the show or click the link. I'll say welcome, Oliver. One of our strong followers is on. And so while waiting for our viewers, let's just have a little chit chat first before we talk about today's topic, and then we can dive into it. So, Jamal, how is your beautiful Manchester? You muted.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. We have a Manchester. Just to let you know, if you know have been in Manchester before, it's a very terrible weather. It's like wet and dry most of the time. But now for today, we have a little bit dry, but it's a little bit breezy weather. So far, life is good. Can't complain. So far, everything's fine. So I'll stay indoor. Can't say much about it. That's how it
Oh,
is in Manchester.
right, right. And Orito, how is your end while we still waiting for one or two person to join, or how is your end? How the beautiful Stockholm, Sweden?
Oh, Stockholm is good. Stockholm is good. The weather is getting a little bit cold, but we're used to it. You know.
Right. And this is your second time joining us on Bottle Line, so it's good to have you here again. I know we'll have a fascinating topic tonight.
Thank you for inviting me,
Uh,
fellas.
Judy, how you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm cool on this end. As Orito said, the Swedish weather, we are used to it now, but it's kind of getting a little bit, we are approaching the winter. So, but we're used to it. We live in Rome. Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. So tonight we're going to discuss about the TRC recommendation from the U.S. ambassador. We will also talk about the rest situation on the ground. I know the people have received rest finally. There was a breaking news yesterday. We'll talk about that, and then we'll also talk about the CPP campaign team, and then we'll talk about other things before we leave tonight. So to start with, I just wanted to go straight into this so we can have a discussion on this implementing of the TRC recommendation in Liberia. We know that the ambassador on war crime economic could visited Liberia and a few other countries in the region, and Liberia seems to be like one of the topic, one of the problem the U.S. government have to send their top ambassador. So I just want you guys to listen today, and then we can talk about this. So give me a few minutes. There was an interview on OKFM, and it's just a 5-minute clip. From there, we just dive into the discussion. So listen.
That's correct. So I will try to do my best. How is everything since around for in the country?
Well, I've learned a lot about the state of your transitional justice process. I've read your Truth Commission report, which was issued more than a decade ago. It contained a number of really important recommendations, and unfortunately, many of those have not been implemented. And so part of the reason for my trip is to understand where the blockages are and to encourage forward progress.
For how long are you here, and while you are here, can you just tell us whether you will hold meetings, will come for what?
I'm on your continent for a week. I was in the Gambia earlier this week and I arrived in Liberia on Wednesday. We leave this evening, but I'm hoping this is the beginning of a conversation and not the end. I've been meeting with a number of different stakeholders here in the city, including civil society actors representing a number of organizations, the Liberian Bar Association, women lawyers, the Global Justice Research Center, etc. Also meeting with the press, we did a roundtable yesterday, and then some senior government officials.
What are you looking for? I mean, what did you want to hear from them? What the meeting?
In many respects, I'm trying to understand, as I mentioned, why there has not been progress on the Truth Commission recommendations that were issued back in 2009. And I understand that there's been a bill that's been floated within your legislative branch, but it hasn't moved forward. I'm also trying to understand where the people are when it comes to justice. And so that's where the meeting with the civil society actors was incredibly important, because they were able to convey that the people want justice. They understand that impunity is corrosive. And if you don't have justice for war crimes, you may not have justice for acts of corruption, and you may not have justice for ordinary daily crimes in life. And so accountability is appropriate and important across all sectors.
The Truth and Reconciliation Commission's report. I heard you this morning in the news, and you've repeated saying that you've read the report and all those kinds of things. Well, did you think that at this point Liberia would have started the implementation of some of the recommendations in our report? Is the U.S. government in any way disappointed that we as a nation have not been able to venture into those recommendations?
It has been more than a decade since that report was issued, and so I think one would have expected to see greater progress at this point. I was just, as I mentioned, in the Gambia. Their report was only released a couple of years ago, and they're already talking about implementation now. So it does feel like there's been a delay.
You think it's promoting impunity in your view?
It isn't promoting impunity. If you don't have some sort of a justice process for the worst crimes known to humankind, how can you expect to have justice for ordinary crimes that people are experiencing on a daily basis?
Will you meet with the president?
No, not this trip, unfortunately, but I do hope to in the future.
You're not meeting with the government at any level?
We met with the Minister of Justice yesterday, and I'll be meeting with some representatives later today.
You want to tell us what exactly that you want from him?
From the Minister of Justice? We spoke mostly at a technical level about the kinds of moves that could be made in the justice sector to create a specialized chamber of some sort to focus on war crimes and economic crimes, recognizing that those two sets of crimes are often interlinked here in Liberia and elsewhere around the world. So we spoke, I'm a lawyer myself, having worked for many years in this field. We spoke about some of the different models for justice that are available, that have been used around the world, and how they might be adapted for the Liberian context.
Now, we fought war in this country, war that lasted for several years. Estimatedly, they say more than 250,000 people died as a result of the war. And every time the issue of the war crimes could come for public debate, there are multidimensional discussions. A lot of Liberians think there should be the establishment of a war crimes court. Here, some see otherwise because of security reasons. They think as a nation we do not have the resources to establish the court. They are concerned because some of the people who perpetrated heinous crimes are either in the legislature or in branches of our government. What does the U.S. stand on this matter?
I think you've captured the state of play perfectly. Obviously, it's very difficult to address crimes of the past, particularly when those who might be deemed responsible or who were adversely mentioned in the Truth Commission report are now holding positions of power. So there's caution here, of course. It's expensive. There are many other priorities facing the Liberian state, including issues of health and education and food. And so it's always a balancing act. That said, there's still a call for justice, and those calls are not quieting over the years. If anything, they're getting louder, because I think people recognize the link between impunity for corruption crimes and impunity for international crimes. These are linked in people's minds, and I think they're linked in reality. And so the calls continue. Ultimately, this will be a Liberian-led process. It has to be the people and civil society working with and demanding justice from their elected representatives. And the government needs to be responsive to the people. And so if there are valid proposals being put forth, draft legislation, etc., it's for the government to work with their constituencies to determine the best path forward.
Great. You guys heard what the ambassador said from that little clip of an interview on OK FM. And Orita, I want to start with you. What do you make of that interview on her visit to Liberia?
Well, for me, after listening to it, I feel that the international community it's starting to put all the different ramifications together to start with a war and economic crime code in Liberia. But at the same time, she keep repeating herself that Liberians have to want it, because we Liberians have to, put in the effort to establish it. So for me, I feel some sense of relief, in a positive way. After listening to the lawyer.
Right. Well, so Jamal, look how visit. This is a senior person in a Biden administration on war and economic crime. Going to Liberia herself, she didn't send anyone, but herself visited the place and had meeting with the chief, the justice minister and civil society and other. What your take on the little clip that was just played on her 5 minute interview that we just played?
This basically tells us that the government of it basically tells that the government of America, the USA, is serious about the recommendations of TRC, and that these things probably have been talking in the background in the past 10 years, how to implement the recommendations, but coming to the public and bringing these to the public attention, it means a lot. So it brings a lot of, I think there's a writing on the wall for the governments and the officials, the government power and the official, that we need to get serious with this. If we have to get help from America, from the US and other implementing partners, we need to get serious with the TRC recommendations. And she says a lot of things about the people in the legislature should be able to take this serious. So it's up to Liberian to decide if this have to be implemented. So this is where we are. So the ball is in our court now. Where do we stand from here? Some are saying that we should not implement TRS because you see, in Liberian English, if you pull the bush, if you pull the rope, you pull the bush. So they keep calling each other. So one way or the other, somebody's not clean in the Liberian world. Most of us are kind of way tinted. So we are afraid that we'll be caught up in this the TRC recommendation. So that's the reason most of us don't want to have it implemented. But here we have to jump over this hurdle. One way or the other, we have to come to an agreement. So we'll come to the point where we think we can do. When I'll make my comment on that. But I think we need to take it serious that these guys are serious, and it's time to look into it seriously to make sure that we do something about it.
Great. And Brother Far, what's your take on the 5 minute clip you just listened to?
Yeah, my take on the. Are you guys hearing me? First of all, I want to also welcome Brother Chair, who is Oliver, who is following us. And my take on the whole thing, it's not a bad thing. It's positive for the country. But if we are talking about justice, who justice are we talking about when it comes to the war crime? So, is it justice for the victims of the war or justice for the perpetrators of the war? Because looking at the TRC framework, the ordinary Liberian consent didn't matter. They only went to the perpetrator of the war and what they think, and they set it up in a way that it meet their satisfaction. Till today, there is no accountability. But had it been set up in a way that there would be the voice they will hear from the victims of the Civil War and the recommendation from the victims of the Liberian citizen, but now you would have had 90% of the country calling for harsher punishment on the perpetrators of the war. And then looking at going into the genesis of the whole rebellion, even though America is the leading voice when it comes to this advocacy, and I listened to a few callers, which we will dive into later on. But it's a good thing. But what are the lawmakers responsible and the leader of the country going to do about it? So I'll stop there for now, and as we proceed, other things going to unfold.
Right. And Jamal, you said something earlier about somebody please made us. You said something earlier about there's a saying in Liberia when you pull Ropo Bush. And the TRC report that was done over a decade ago, people have been dragging over and over. There have been a lot of promises made. People have not yet reached to the stage. And the former president, Ellen Johnson, from that report, she should have even served as president. She didn't sign. Now it comes to the Excellency George Manawia, who also campaigned to bring war and economic crime to Liberia. Why is he now the thing that he campaigned for, that he went after the government for 12 years, he's sitting today? Why is he now signing that paper to get this thing started in Liberia? Is that because when you pull Ropo Bush, is that something that we're missing here? Or another thought, I just want you to dive into this. There have been an allegation from Representative Yeke Koruba that the president supported the war, and also allegation what the exchange of letter between the open letter between Mr. Cummings and we are in Mr. Cummings' second letter. He also mentioned that we are supported the war. Is that the reason why he's not putting this forward that he campaigned for? What are your thoughts on this?
Paul, yeah, from my perspective, there are a lot of factors relating to this. Do you hear me, guys?
Hearing you.
Right. You know, I'll tell you, the Western government, together with the Eastern government, the East government, let's look at China and America. They got the conditions when how to give help. The Chinese government will tell you, give help, just have an interest, protect her, we don't care. But the American governments, the Western government will tell you, we had these conditions laid before we help you. Now, if we need help from these people, they will tell these are our conditions. You need to implement them. There's an issue, another thing I'll tell you, people don't forget, is the gay rights, whether we like it or not. You have to be the president in America, Liberia. If you need help from the United States government, they will tell you to observe the gay rights. You need to look into it. Those are conditions we need to consider seriously. So I'm just giving an example. In Americans are saying to you now, well, in order to strangle those guys to listen to us, we'll hold them, we'll tie them with arm twisting. We need to put our conditions on the ground if they need help from us. So they put their conditions on the ground. These are one of the conditions. That's one. Second, our various leaders in power, most of them are kind of interrelated to the war. And the president may not be practically involved. He may not have been commissioned anything. But let me tell you something, Paul. When you become a president, you can say other things during your campaigns. When you get into the office, people that will talk to you, there are powerful hands behind. They'll call you and tell you, look, you know what you're doing here? This is serious business. You need to listen. Rethink when you're talking. You think before you become president, you say a lot of things. When you become president, your tone change. It's that people you connect with. So there are a lot of factors to this, Paul. It's not one about George Weah issue should be there because he has not come back to clarify where he was involved in supporting another group in Liberia. That's another thing we're giving a room, the benefit of doubt to clear himself in the future. But for now, he's been accused that he was supporting another armed group in Liberia. He's not a clean hands. That's one thing. Let's give him a chance to clean himself. But the fact is, the U.S. government or other Western government will tell you, we want you to, if you want help from us, these are the conditions. And this is what coming to light now. So we need help from them. We are a nation that we need help from these countries. So they will live by the terms and conditions, or else we're not getting anywhere. So that's how it works. So that's it is.
Well, right, great. So I'll bring Brother Far on this one. Well, recent time we know. Just mute yourself a little bit, man. Recent time we observed that people like Prince Johnson that have been sanctioned, and one of the main perpetrator of the civil war in Liberia, he was on the talk show platform Spoon, and he went against he went against Mr. Cummings on the that Cummings brought economic sanction. Now on Sunday you have Siri adding on Spoon as well. These are people that on the TRC, they all coming out now firing. Is that something that is that set of message is sending out, or are they afraid now that the Americans are now pushing forward for this war and economic crime code to come to Liberia? Are they afraid now, so they're voicing out, brother? What do you think? What your thought on this?
I think it's, you know, sometimes it is hard to define what Liberians in general need, okay, or what they want from the past dark days of Liberia. So that, in the sense that when my uncle or my family is in government, who has been one of the perpetrator of the war crimes in Liberia, then I should have problem when it comes to the advocacy of war crimes. But when my family is not in government, and then I'm in favor of how they call it, the war crime, right? So to define what Liberian people want when it comes to the war crime is a huge problem. But this thing has a history that the ordinary Liberian were denied the right for justice, because if you go back to the history of the war up to the 2002 war that took Taylor out of the country, almost all politicians, the people who were depending on to lead the country after the Civil War, they were one way or the other involved. That even up to present, you can't just find anybody that is neutral, that has a clean hand. You understand? If you want to form a government in Liberia. So looking at people like Prince Johnson, Sierra Island, some of these people, they go after Mr. Cummings, that he seems to be, pretends to be somebody who has a clean hand. They say, and I quote, right? Seems to be somebody with clean hands, but then he go and do business with X, Y, Z. But at the same time, they are in collaboration with the current ruling coalition that is running the country. So it's kind of a difficult to define, where Liberians stand when it comes to only for the ordinary Liberian. So the international community, for me, they missed the whole point, most especially from the ECOWAS point. And then looking at the genesis of Charles Taylor, that Charles Taylor broke jail in Boston Federal Prison, and he was never placed on because I listened to some callers that call that Charles Taylor was never placed on a wanted list, and he came to Liberia. And you have people like Ellen Johnson, who on her own testimony, she contributed $10,000, and she was the darling of the West, and they didn't do enough to even rehabilitate the environment. So if I hear people like Prince Johnson talking, his, what I call trash, that for which he feed, how they call it, said that he's being rewarded for what he did in Liberia, because there were people that witnessed the atrocity of Prince Johnson, that most especially on the Bushra Island belt and in the West Point, where Prince Johnson killed people that were not even in the army, okay, that had nothing to do with government, innocent people, women, okay, men that he killed, and people that from his side. And you got people like Bodneke, Milton Blahy, they say, oh yeah, he has repented. And you got people like George Bowley, these people running around in our society, and we feel comfortable with it. So Liberia is a huge problem, Brother Paul. So for people like Sierra Island to come out and start, start to talk one or two things. If I were America, we go through the African Union and make sure, because Liberia is a hot spot. Anything that unfolds in Liberia negatively, it will have an impact on the whole region. Looking at what is happening in Cote d'Ivoire as we speak currently, there are some tensions in Cote d'Ivoire, in Sierra Leone, Guinea, and you look at the extent of Mali to Niger. Senegal is a little bit stable. So Liberia is a boiling pot for anything that will happen in that region. So I think America, they got, sophisticated people and well intelligent when it comes to the intelligent community. So there are certain signs that they see for which I think they want to step up, how they call it, say their game, or when it comes to the war crime in Liberia.
Great. And Orita, I just want your perspective on this. The ambassador did mention about, she made comparison with the Gambia and Liberia. The Gambia, they did their TRC, similar thing. It took them 2 years to start, but Liberia been decade, they have not even touched it. So why your take on this?
I think it have to do with some of the things both Jamal and Mark, said. I think Liberians, in a way, are afraid. And when I mean afraid, it have to do with the fact that some people are thinking that, oh, during the war, my father wasn't around. He, maybe he took part. But at the same time, Liberians have to see it like this. Our country, I'm a proud Liberian woman, but my country is one of the countries on this planet where you can kill another person and just go scot-free, depending on who you know in government. In Liberia, it's like we prosecute. We don't prosecute. I'm not even going to use the word persecution. We kill people. People burn people alive if they steal a mobile phone. So for me, I feel like we need accountability for things that happened during the war, because almost all Liberians experienced the war, and people are going with traumatic, emotional, that they encountered during the war. So for me, I feel like we have to, it's a must that we establish the war and economic crime code, because it will do Liberian, it will heal every Liberian. We will heal from within, knowing that, okay, what I went through, it didn't go in vain. And it doesn't matter if I know Jamal, I know you, Paul, I know Mark. If any one of you guys participated in some way, I would say, okay, yes, I know you guys are good gentlemen, but do your time. And from there, God and the rest of us will forgive. So for me, that's how I see it. I really, really, and I pray to God every day that, our country go back to a state where impunity is not the norm. Because as we speak in Liberia, impunity is the norm. And people see it as, they just see like, oh, but, that's nothing. It shouldn't be like that in any functioning society.
Yeah. So, Jamal.
Yes, sir.
Brother Paul, just few seconds or a minute to just add on to what Rita said. The opportunity again was missed by the international community, most especially when we have the 17,000 peacekeepers in our country, right? That includes some Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian, and I think Pakistani, and you name it, outside of the African continent, right? And you had them there for almost 12 years. So there was enough security on the ground to protect the whole process. You understand? Where today you have the Liberian entire security apparatus doesn't exceed, I think, 10,000, the military, the police, and you name it. So at this time, if you're calling for the war crime tribunal, you have to have some security, structure in place that, these people, they have had huge influence in the country, some of these warlords that anything could trigger again. And before you start mobilizing people, looking at what is going on around the globe, so these are disturbing times. But under the UP government, somebody, any institution that should have set the record that Liberia should be moving forward and to a new era, it should have been done during the 12 years under the UP leadership, and we missed our mark. Thank you.
Yes, listen, Paul, this is quite an interesting thing. I'll take you back to some story. I'm a history probably to reconnect you with. The American government, other Western government or institutions that are involved into this TRC recommendations being implemented because Liberia and other African countries need help. Why they brought Charles Taylor to the tribunal, to the court in The Hague, they feel that he was unstoppable in the western region of Africa. They have not taken out that place will still remain unsettled. So they took him away to force to have some peace in that region. They knew that if they don't take him away, he was like spreading like an octopus, tentacles spreading everywhere. Gambia got affected, Sierra Leone got affected when he was in the region. The first place was to take him out. So they used the Sierra Leone case to get him out, to get him connected, so they can nail him in the West and jail him, because we don't have like Brother Paul said, we don't have the security apparatus, the equipment to keep this guy in jail. So the only way to keep him in jail, confined for a lifetime, and nothing will happen, will be in the West. Look at the scenario behind the whole thing, Paul. So the another thing I'm looking at, look, people were being violated, people are being assaulted. We need to help these people. There are a lot of people that are dying, crying. Well, people may go, TRC recommendation may come into effect. People will forgive. If you come and say, look, I'm forgiving these people, it's all right. But then, it's up to us, Liberians, to say, will you want this to go on or not? That's you come with referendum. Is the legislature ready to ask for referendum for Liberians to go to vote, to say we want to put it into a vote? That's another thing. We are not pushing this. In South Africa, they had TRC and they have some agreement. It happened in Rwanda. There are other things. Those who need to go to jail, they want to jail. They need to be forgiven or forgiven. Now the country is settled. There may be some issues still going on, but it's in majority, the country is a bit settled. Much settled and peacefully settled. Compared to what is happening in Liberia, we are still bitter. Like my brother said, people who committed the heinous crimes that roaming around the city, bluffing, boasting. And ATRC, what they have, if you listen to or watch one of those videos, most of the people that are making statements, they are boastfully speaking without remorse. Without remorse. They don't tell us, oh, I'll do sorry for what happened. I'd killed because I was out of my mind. I'm sorry. People are telling you I did it because I'm defending myself. Yeah, well, we TRC means that we'll tell the people the truth. If people will forgive you, will forgive you. But that wasn't the case. So the big brother look at it and say, let's see, you know what, these guys need help. We need to step in and help Liberians. There are a lot of silent majority who need to be helped. They are there. Most of us are directly or indirectly affected by the war. Can you come and tell me, oh, I was responsible for the death of your uncle. I'm sorry. Okay, that's fine. That's how we do the Liberian way, but nobody's doing that. Or I did that because I want to fight the country, don't kill my grandparents, or told what did to my grandmother. That's not just the reason, give you any reason to go kill somebody else. So those are things we didn't take into consideration, brother. So the big brother is coming in to say, we will help these Liberians. If you see what the Hassan Bedi team are doing with the guy in Switzerland, if you come out of the country, if you are connected with the crime stuff, they will take you to court out of Liberia. So it make everybody, most of the people that were involved in the war, they have the court to answer to if they come out of the country. So you see what we're talking here. So that's what I want to start with so far.
Brother Paul, and there are two kinds of forgiveness, right? If we talk about forgiveness in the sense that someone individual forgiving you, there's a passage in the Holy Bible that Jesus was asked about forgiveness, and he said, even though I can't remember which book in the Bible chapter, and he said, if Mark stole from somebody a couple of years ago or did something wrong in society, I should go to the police and tell the authority, hey, committed crime against Paul or had robbed Paul and his family, and the police got no record of that, the police say, "Oh, you go away. That we got no record of that, and that crime has been forgiven that years ago." Then Jesus said, "The one between you and your holy Father is private." So somebody forgiving you and the law acting is also another thing. And for example, there are a lot of countries in South America, for example, like Argentina, Chile, and the list go on in South America. They also had their process of how to call it crimes against humanity. You understand? And what happened is the ordinary people were heard. It wasn't mainly those that, I mean, the perpetrator of the act that were heard from, but rather this ordinary person that was hurt, that was raped, women that were raped, people that were murdered, that lost their father, they were also to heard from. And I think that's the mistake of this TRC, because the TRC was structured around only a group of Liberians. How many professionals came from outside, for example, from the West that have handled these things before? Who are those that assisted us during the whole process to say, no, this thing you people, the way you people going is wrong, and this is the way it should have been done. So there's a huge, I mean, there's a problem with the whole TRC process. And like America is coming in, I hope other international partners that have, I mean, that have witnessed these things, like for example from the South America to other part of the world, even the how do you call it, Southeast Asia, like Cambodia, Indonesia, and you name it, that I stay around will come and add knowledge to what actually need to be done. This is not about the warlords in Liberia. It's about we, the ordinary people in Liberia. Some people are feeling very terrible to even go back to Liberia because of what happened. And these people are stay around.
Right. Yeah. So I want to tie this with something because it's war economic. In Liberia, we have a habit of rewarding those perpetrators that steal from or that kill us. Now, the U.S. recently put sanctions on 3 key government officials. Today, the ambassador for war crime economic went to Liberia. So McGee and other people that were sanctioned, they now seem to run another campaign to be sent into the house. Now, if a little boss told somebody pepper milk in Douala, they will beat that child to death. But these guys that steal big money, that drive the country dry, they reward them. So I want Orita and Jamal, your take on these two things to combine both.
I mean, I agree with you because these are some of the things that I feel like it's stalling the development of our country. If you have those who are supposed to lead, and those who are labeled as having wisdom, knowing what's best, but they always take a path to reward bad behavior. And you are right, because that is something, it's so common in the Liberian society. It's so common to the extent that the children who are born growing up, they adapt to the same thing. And when these kids are growing up, and then you have people saying that, children in Liberia, they didn't respect, they can see, they can do this. Because there's this saying that children don't do what we say, they do what we do. So they're just taking after us. I think it was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. There was this boy, I think it happened in Liberia. He and his brother or some family member, they had a dispute over some silly thing, and he stabbed his own family member. And to this day, nobody know what happened. So it's the way things are in Liberia, it needs to get better. It needs to get better. And when it comes to like the law, and just what you said, that rewarding bad behavior, that's something I'm not even going to use the word, we have to think about, excluding it from our society. We just have to exclude it because it's not fruitful. for the development of a nation and its people. So that's my stand on that. That's my stand on that.
Yeah, before Jamal come in, I just want to say to our viewers, if you joining us for the first time, just click the like button. So whenever we comes on, you can be notified. And pretty soon we'll be looking at some of the comments from our viewers too. And Jamal, although this is we have this live on the radio, you want to talk about it before you step in and make your
Yeah.
contribution. What will be
I've sent you the link. If you check the link, I've sent you the link. We are live on this on the online radio, the broadline radio. You can also catch it on the radio because if you don't have the time to watch on the live stream, so you can go and watch on you listen to our live radio. Thank you. Paul, with regard to rewarding those who commit crime against us, Liberia is a very, very complicated society, Paul. You see, with the trouble, religious issues, that's where the issue is. Family relations. You know the ground Prince Johnson was elected on? Prince Johnson was elected because he need to save that Nimba County. The people, if he was not elected on that ground, you know what he fought for? I put my life on the line for you people of Nimba County. I need to be rewarded. Or else people come after you. And that's a big statement. I mortgage my life for you. I need to be elected to save you. You know that. If he is anybody can be known as the most notorious criminal so far, so to speak, will be crime committed. Will be Prince Johnson killing the president and put it on video. I mean, it's a fact. I mean, that's a fact there. And that is one thing you can't never ever do to any nation. You can get a president, but put on no, that's one thing. So awarding, you see, people doing it because for their own safety, also from some relationship. It has a lot of factors. If you want to, we can take from tonight on, continue to speak on this, on and on. If you look down to it, going back to why I say that, going back to the issue of McGay when he was, when he asked to step down, why the people of Brown County were shouting for him to come back because he carried some money in there. They wanted they feel in their pocket, they were hungry. The people he dish out some money to them. So we will vote for you. Come to Brown County, we'll put you in we will vote for you to run as a senator or a representative because he put some cash out for them. Where it comes from, it's not from there. It came from the bottom line, down the line. Hungry, poor, they have no means, they got no voice, they want to survive because the other people are getting it. So you come into awarding those who kill us, giving the truth, like being a trophy or position being a trophy, giving those who kill us. It has a lot of factors to it. This is it. So we should also understand that we just not easily, it's just not easy. We can't just say here like we need to get them put in jail. I mean, Marx says other things with some mistakes were done. We need to go back. If we have to go back to TRC recommendations, I'll come back to TRC a little bit. The late Kafuma Kona, Sheikh Kafuma Kona did not sign the TRC. You know why? There was reasons to that. So, Ellen Johnson did not sign TRC. There was some disagreement with our TRC document. So that's one part of it. There are a lot of things in TRC. We can sit and talk we from our own perspective as we see it. But then if we have to implement it, a lot of recommendations can be made, a lot of ratifications can be made, and the Liberian people have to be asked, what do you think? Can you put it into a vote? Then we can put this to bed. Right. That's how I see it.
So before we transition,
because you asked about the economic crime, right? Because we talk a lot on war crime. So speaking on the economic crime issue, this should not be, selective. You understand? If we want to talk about the economic crime issue, then we should also go as far as the UP 12 years. The UP 12 years has a huge factor in the country when it comes to corruption, because it set the foundation for other government to continue to corrupt, to come and mismanage in the country. So if we want to talk about, the economic crime, we should not just focus on the CDC government. There are a lot of people that got rich, in Liberia during the 12 years of the Ellen Johnson administration. So if any government come to power tomorrow and only want to go after the CDC-led government today, you will also be setting up how they call this a recipe for disgruntledness in the country. So if you come to power tomorrow, for example, anybody that come to power tomorrow, then you go back to the 12 years of the UP government. There's a lawyer in Liberia, if I retrospect correctly, one Arthur Johnson. And this thing, I've had a thought about it long time before even hearing from Arthur Johnson. When they go to assets recovery, you understand? There are billions of dollars that were squandered. If you listen to, for example, even the former vice president that sat there and signed 60 some more concession that was signatory to that, $17 billion just went in the air. So how do we go after the assets recovery from NOCA, from how they call it, other institution, other banks that went bankrupt in the country, and you name it from FPRC. So you can just focus or limit economic crime on the CDC government alone. Then
No,
it's
brother, I think the TRC is gone back decades ago. So not only this group, it's from back there.
Why I'm saying this, Paul, because if you listen keenly to most Liberian now, when it comes to the economic crime code, the attention is divided, right? Some only focus on the CDC-led government and leave the Ellen government out for 12 years that had the best of opportunity to move that country forward for 12 good years. You understand? And we have one of the highest illiteracy rate in the Mano River Union Belt in the West Africa. Let me just say that for short before I let you come. Paul, a child in the West starts school between 5 and 6 years. And within 12 years' time, that child get a high school education. If you divide that 12 years for a bachelor degree, that 4 sets of bachelor degree holder you got there. If you divide that 12 to master degree, you got 6 set up, because 3 years, some courses will take 3 years, 2.5 years for you to do your master, right? So you got almost 4 sets of master degree holder, and all these opportunity. Ellen Johnson did nothing to improve our education system in the country, and now coming to the 6 years of the CDC-led government. So the country has a huge problem when it comes to how our people think critically. So these are things that are disturbing in the country today. Our people don't think for themselves. You will sit on the phone, somebody. I have spent, thousands of hours talking to people to convince family members and friends that got high school education, that got college education, and you think that they're supposed to know better. No, they don't. Okay, so these things is a problem in the country, Paul, a huge problem.
Right. Okay, thanks for that. Before we transition, we'll have a lot of comments here, and I just want you guys to look at some of the comments that is written. Well, let me tell our viewer this also. We on air. We're also on the radio, the local radio, the bottom line, and we'll pin the details there. So in the future, it's 24/7 that people can listen to throughout the day when they are at work. The bottom line radio, Jamal got the thing, we'll pin it out there. So Orita, before we go to the comments, I know we're going to transition soon. Before we transition to the other topic, overall, you think it's okay now because the U.S. government is now mounting pressure on the current government for the implementation of the TRC of the War and Economic Crime Code in Liberia? You think it's time now, or will they provide that security that Mark talked about earlier, that we don't have that sort of security? Alien government had that security with Westerners, were all also there. Will you think, in your opinion, if they're going to help Liberia in the process, will they provide that security, or will they train special people to implement? Because it seems to me they now putting more forces on the government, this government, to implement that TRC War and Economic Crime Code in Liberia. So it looks like something going to happen soon, because usually the American would not send a top gun to a country if they don't have some interest in there. do you think at this time, before this government leave or the next government, there will be that war and economic crime code in Liberia? Your thought?
I strongly believe that. I strongly do. And I think the international community will assist the Liberian and the Liberian, I mean, the Liberian government with the right resources when it comes to safety, because we have to look beyond just people coming in, because it would take people, it would take courage for people to come and testify, to say, oh, this happened to me and this person, and people would need tremendous security. And I think the international community will provide that in collaboration with the Liberian government too, because everything cannot, the full responsibility cannot be placed on the international community. So I think it will be some sort of collaboration. And I really do believe that they will assist in every way, but the Liberian people have to speak up, because the international community is like they're on standby. They are just waiting for the Liberian people to say we are ready.
All right.
So I believe that.
For me, I see it like this, okay? Even though the CDC government made some mistake from the initial stage, when they came to power, by not doing what they preached for the 12 years they were in opposition. So it placed the WIA and his administration in a difficult position. How the international community going to work with WIA, right? And two, if you look at his last visit, you analyze it from where he was able to go to his residence somewhere in New York. There's a saying from my late grandfather, right? They say if you want to catch the chicken outside the fence is more difficult to catch than the chicken in the fence, right? So I think what that says is that they have realized something, that, okay, Liberia is a boiling pot, that we need to bring this guy closer if we want to get certain things done in Liberia. So giving some, air to move around, to breathe a little bit, and at the same time helping to transform if we want to get certain things done in Liberia, that it won't spread over. Because you can ordinarily, like we the Liberian, we can see there have been a lot of recipes for unrest in Liberia, but the thing here is that Liberians are tired, Paul. Had it not been that Liberians are tired of running, because we have had different series of war in Liberia since the December 24th, 89, right? From the local to coming to the 2002, that, if I'm right, 2002, that was the last war in Liberia that Taylor had to leave, right? So if Liberians were not tired, but now all the different recipes, Liberians would have gone into the bush and things would have spilled over to the other West African country. So I think they are trying to open up some corridor here for WIA to have WIA doing one or two things when it comes to the war crime code. And then two, later on, the rest can come in, for example, to the economic crime code. But without the international community, I don't see it. First of all, you got no infrastructure when it comes to prisons, okay? You got no infrastructure. When it comes to security, the infrastructure is not there. So how do America work with the current government to strengthen our infrastructure, the security apparatus, the prison system in the country, Or are we going to send these people to a third world country if they are found guilty? And what kind of reconciliation are we talking about? So these people should walk free. Like some people can say, oh, we should carry on the what they call the South African or the Rwanda Palava hot. But some people also went to prison in a process. Some people serve house arrest during a process. And in Liberia, you don't have the institutional mentality to have these things done. The security apparatus, first of all, you got some people in the security apparatus that can't even read their own name, no matter how big the letter is. So the problem is huge, Brother Paul. We need the help of the international community.
Great. The problem is huge. Jamal, look at some of the comments before we transition to the next topic.
Thank you, Paul. We want to say all those who follow us, thank you very much. If you have not the time to
You muted.
we want to say a big thank you to all those who are following us on these Streamline Borderline Liberia. If you don't have the time to put your comments, we still recognize your efforts. We want to read some comments coming through. We are selected with comments here. We will first take on a few comments. First come from Brother Junior Tekwa. A very long one. We'll take the short one, Junior. The Liberian Civil War had nothing to do with the ending out of the trap. It was against the Liberian government. No traps should be attacked, should have been attacked. I don't think it was not Prince Johnson fault. It was not Prince Johnson for all this blame on Taylor. And he did this because of October didn't Samuel Doe killed American Liberian. I don't know why he has connection with this topic anyway. That's his comment, so that's his view. We put out. We go to $6 Nelson. In my opinion, it is not late to rectify the international mistake made by the UP-led government. CDC ran its campaign on the war crime court. So this guy came again. Tikwa said, I think any government that influence and support any coup and against any nation, laws and orders should be not empowered. I support that happened to Taylor. He killed our people and all cause war and kill Samuel Doe. Our dreams or a damn person. Sorry, I can't follow. This is too long to follow. I'll go back to the short one. He said, Doe was a great commander in chief. If it was not for Doe, what is that? The Thai war had not been, I don't understand why English is that. The Thai war was not elected. Ellen Johnson will have not been president today, and George Weah Doe was not great at supporting him. Anyway, I'll go quickly. There's another one says for $6, and she said, well, the Ellen government is out. We can all agree Ellen failed Liberia and Liberians, but how can we make it right? Should Liberia and Liberians continue to blame Ellen-led government to make it right? This is my opinion. And she said, thank you. She said, she made comment made by Orita. She said, that's $6. Thank you, Orita. Liberians need to take the first step in the right direction. These are some of the selected comments from the comment made from our viewers. And if you're not sending comments and you're listening, we still appreciate your listening. Follow us. You can share this video. We live on the Liberia Liberia we also on the radio. We on the Facebook. We on the YouTube. You can always join us. We just share the link for the online radio. If you don't have the chance to watch on live, you can always listen to it online. We just share the line. It's on our YouTube, Facebook link. Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you, Jamal. Now we're going to transition to the recent situation we had in Liberia for over a week about Liberia's staple food, which is rice. And we know that what rice brought a problem in Liberia during the 1979 small our baby, so we can talk about that. But recent time, people in Liberia been hungry for food. And the allegation that the government have put some money forward and the business community came back to say, no, we received only 3 million. It should have been 7 million. Later, government came back, say 14 million, but finally they brought food. And I just want to dive into this a little bit. So I will start with you, Brother Mark. The situation of rice issue in Liberia.
Yeah.
Oh,
Brother Paul, the issue with food, Liberia feeding herself, from my own perspective, is a disgrace. Okay, here is a country since 1822 and was officially an independent country, 1847. Okay, Liberia is older than most countries that are producing rice to feed herself, okay, or her population. And you've been having since the 1980, how they call this, different kinds of government. And when you look at, for example, our whole agriculture budget, we don't, we have not even said put in $20 million catch into the food that Liberians eat on a day-to-day basis. Liberian man eat rice. He have not eaten. The only person that tried in that direction, I think, was the late Samuel Doe when he came from, I think, Taiwan, and he decided that every minister should have a farm, and he had a rice farm where this current vice president was one-time agriculture minister. That today they call him an agriculture expert, that we don't know how many bag of rice if you have a farm and how many bag of rice his farm is producing, or if you have a corn farm, we don't know how many bag of corns, or if you have a yam or potato or cassava farm, we don't know how many bags his farm is producing. And this is to take a shot at almost every politician in the country that want to sleep with beautiful mama Liberia, okay? This issue of Liberia cannot take care of herself, most especially when it comes to the production of rice. All the politicians in the country, nobody can take $5 million to say, okay, I will put $5 million into some of these counties. If you go to some of these counties, they will give you thousands of hectares of land for you to carry on rice production. And you can find one of them to even say invest $5 million into rice production across the country. But they want to lead this country. So the issue of rice, Paul, sometimes I don't like to talk about it because it's so embarrassing. A country almost 200 years old with the population of 5 million. If you go to Thailand, you go to China, you go to Vietnam, these people that produce rice, you can bring experts from there because some people got farm in Thailand that produce food for more than 5 million. Thailand is a country now, if I'm right. The last time what I know, there was 65 million, and I want to believe now they are almost 80 million. Okay, they got some people that got an individual farm that produce rice for 5 million, how they call it, people. The same as Vietnam, the same as India. You go, you bring experts from this area that, oh yeah, your country population is between this number and how much, hectare of land you need to produce adequate food for this particular generation. And you don't have politicians in the country even thinking about that. But they are running campaign and talking about agriculture, agriculture, agriculture. You've been in government for how many years since J.J. Rowell time? How much have you put into agriculture for which you're running around talking agriculture, agriculture? And the other group that want to be president and the group that are currently ruling, you talk about agriculture. How much have you put into rice production?
So let me hold you on that. They gave the importer $14 million to bring rice. So you just mentioned some of the politicians should have just spent $5 million in one county to produce. You yourself the echo. So that 14 million, can it go into agriculture, then give it to somebody that importing rice? You can to start doing something with $14 million?
Brother Paul, when this new agriculture minister came to Liberia, I'm forgetting her name, I think one Kopo, right?
Yes.
Okay, when she came to Liberia, there was some, if I'm right, $80 million that were allocated, I think, from the international community towards the agriculture ministry, and for which today, I think LSCC, there was some kind of an investigation that led to the new document changes of the, how they call it, anti-corruption bureau, that she was some way, how they call it, involved and mismanaged some money. So it tells me that, first of all, there is no plan. The agriculture ministry, the government, from one government to another, has never prioritized agriculture in the country. And what kind of agriculture are we talking about? The most stable food that Liberians consume on a day-to-day basis should be the first thing you prioritize before you talk about producing cassava, producing edo, producing, how they call it, XYZ. Rice should be the first thing. Try the first $5 million into a rice farm, and how many hectares of land you think that can cover. Go to these people that you import the same rice from India, from Pakistan, from Thailand, from Vietnam. Go to these people, they got private farmer, okay, ordinary farmer. Engage them. That is why you have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Okay, you have the the trade union in a particular agency or the commerce ministry. Engage the people. How can we produce this food? Because the 1979 you talk about is the same rice issue that led to the 1979 incident. It's just that Liberians are tolerant. A few days ago, there was tension in the country. When a man hungry, he gets angry.
So my question to you guys here.
And to answer that question, it's an emergency. So the government giving the 11 million or 5 million to the, how they call it, an importer, that doesn't stop the government for allocating additional money to put into agriculture. It doesn't stop it. It's not late. It's never too late. You got other, how they call it, partners in the country, international partners in the country that will be concerned, that will be willing to help Liberia in a particular direction. So it's never late, Brother Paul. It's an emergency issue, so the government had to give money to these importers. But was the money used properly? Did it get into the right hands? These are questions that need to be asked. Because what I heard and been reading on the how they call it, news, that some of the importers didn't receive a dime. So where did the money go? Is the Justice Minister going to step in to do its work? These are questions.
Great. Jamal, the issue with rice. Now, I can tell you something. The people from Maryland County, they eat a lot of cassava and palm butter. Grand Bassa County, River said they do dumbo and soup. The issue about Liberia's stable food is rice. It's about time that we start looking at other things in Liberia, to grow a cassava farm, to grow a yellow farm, to grow a yam farm, then keep depending on rice. And our people don't want to spend money on rice that we all claim to be our stable food. If you take $14 million and give it to importers to bring rice, it's about time that we look at other things like planties and all that. So I want you to take us through. Why is it that rice should be the only thing that we can eat, that when no rice, the whole country go hungry? Why?
Oh, thank you, Paul. Absolutely right. But let me tell you something, Paul. We look back into history why we have an issue of a rice in our country. Rice issue. For 1979, when it became rice riot, was led by the Moja, the PAL, the PAL, that caused a lot of death. Because the progressive poor, the students, the youth in the streets, the rice riot. It was an issue. The price gone up, I think, from $30, for $20, $30. I can't remember how much the dollar was at the time. I was
You muted. Still muted.
Sorry. What I'm trying to say to you, I said rice has been an issue. We could eat different things about corn, cassava. We eat other things in Liberia, but then it's just like when you go to Ghana, Nigeria, you talk about you want to silence cassava, then it becomes an issue, because literally they use cassava for a lot of things. In Liberia and also in the East, in Asia, they use rice, and other Asian countries, they use rice. So let's go with the argument that let's consider rice. I want to take on that. Rice should be our food. But then it's us, the mindset. Why is it that we're not taking it on? I'll give you some perspective of my own point. When Torbo started these rice, I want to let my brother say something. Mark said something about government not coming over rice program. There was a program in Bon County where my mother is from. They call it Rice Smallholder Project, something like that. There was a project, a company doing rice production. We got a BCADP, Bon County Rice Development or Agriculture Program. Every county had these programs from Torbo came to Dole period. So it's not only about rice production or agricultural products. So those projects you are being encouraged and be carried on. That was the failure of the federal government. They didn't carry on. So I'm telling you that the government, our various governments have not been committed.
You muted.
Yeah, I had How was that? Our very government has now been supporting these agricultural products for us to get our own staple food. It's easy. Like my brother suggested 5 million or something to put into a rice project. It may not be that easy, but if you have international government and other agencies that help you, you can start something good. We have three different companies in Liberia now that are producing palm oil, Golden Valerium, other company in Cape Mount area. You know how many projects they came from Asia? They came from Asia, they're producing here, they're exporting oil and palm oil into different products into other out of the country. Why is it you can't have the same deal to produce something for your rice? You export out other country, you sell it, you subsidize it for your citizen. That's simple. But now we're taking money from them. For these people coming to the country, Golden Valera is Sano, one of the biggest company from Asia. I don't know which of the Asian country. I think Thailand something or Indonesia. I don't know which country is it. One of these countries from Asia is came from Golden Valera, very big in Sino. Another company also is in Cape Town. I forgot the name. They're all doing palm production. They're producing palm oil. Yeah, those companies could do the same thing. You got companies like that doing the same thing for rice, and you don't have to sell it to your citizens and export it to other countries instead of buying it from Brazil and other Asian countries. Simple as that. My brother also said politicians are not committed to putting money. Yes, they are not. But one thing you should know, I want to tell you guys, right? Rice is a political goose. Rice is a political goose. Whether you like it or not, they hold to strangulate us. They'll hold it up, but the election is coming and just release it. Yeah. And so, well, we can produce it. This is how now we can produce it. Now the people are struggling for rice. The president provide rice. So it has been an issue from the day one up to now. So people, when they're hungry, not everybody, we're going away eating rice. It has become a custom in our country that we eat rice. But then why can't we produce it? I heard the last time somebody said that the Honorable Joseph Barker gave 65, I don't know what kind of acres of land to people in what county in Bomi or where to produce rice. Did he give them the material to produce rice? He gave them empty lines. It doesn't work like that. The people don't even have the first money to buy bread. They tell you they give them land to produce rice. It's just like when the people in Zimbabwe took the farm from the white people and told them, okay, let black people can produce. After a year or two, all the lands turned into butchers. So we give them the tools, give them the land, give them the tools, and also help them. This subsistence farming we're doing, help them. We can work. There are a lot of things. Mechanized farming, other things can happen. Man, Liberia is far beyond this. What we'll be discussing why we can produce our own food. We got the soil. We got, especially, you have the late brother Emmanuel, what is his name, Lincoln. He said a lot of things. I mean, so rest in peace. He said a lot of things about what areas, because agriculture will tell us where in Liberia is good for production of rice. They will test the soil and tell where areas. Government doesn't need to go and bag line. You can go to area and do that soil testing and bring in countries or companies that will produce for us, like how Golden Valerian and other people producing palm oil in Liberia, and we'll get it at the reasonable price and be subsidized by the government, and the people will live peaceful and eat their staple food. Forget about eating cassava. We can eat that rice if we want to do it, but we are not committed. We use it as a political goose. That's the fact.
So before Orito comes in, Margaret, before Orito comes in, political commodity, when election coming, it's a red shortage. And I remember hearing this story, although I was not in the war, but Charles Taylor, during the election, he used his rights to win election by putting his T-shirt in the back of rice when he distributed to people. When they open it, they see Charles Taylor. And he used that to win. Now election is coming again. The huge rice shortage in Liberia. They won the broad. It will finish tomorrow. They'll go back they'll start crying again. So Mark and Orita, this political commodity that they're using, I want you to vote for you to die for the Mark and Orita.
Let me just start with when you talk about why is it Liberian eat rice all the time, right? So there are other food in Liberia. For example, if you look at the people along the coastal line from Maryland, Sano, Grand Cru, Railroad Cell, Grand Basso, then you come to the Grand Jide, Nima County. These are people that can eat other food, they swallow. You understand? What they call the cassava, they swallow. That's the other part of Liberia there that consume other food. Then when it comes to the people, for example, like the Loma, the Pele, the other tribes, you understand, like the Va, these people don't swallow what food they consume most, and you understand, which I want to believe is rice. They don't consume that lot of cassava like the people that are just named, from the southeast and along the coastal belt. So these are problems that need to be studied. By the society, as to what kind of food to prioritize, or how they gotta go about producing different kind of food. It has something to do with the culture. Then, like what Brother Jamal talked about, some companies in Liberia into the palm production. There is something in trade or international trade that I learned when I was doing one or two reading, is that Liberia and African country, we are good in exporting what they call the whole stock. You understand? People come to you, they want to buy, for example, you producing palm oil, and this man, you sell, thousands of, gallons or millions of gallons of palm oil to this man, and he take it to his country and he produce different kinds of stuff from the palm oil. Instead of, telling this man that we can just sell the whole stock to you, you're carrying a palm oil, you're going to produce soap, you're going to produce toothpaste, you're going to produce XYZ out of the palm oil. So for that reason, you have to open one or two factories here to produce job. Our people not just going to do the agriculture, farming, and then do cutting of the palm, produce the palm oil, and just take the whole thing to your country, and you create XY job for your people. The same thing with the mining sector. People come to Liberia, they open gold mine in Liberia, but we don't polish no gold in the country. People come to Liberia, they buy steel from Liberia, but we don't have no steel production. But they bring it to the West and they produce XYZ job for their people. So we have to change that mentality. And when it comes to the question you asked, how they call it?
The
What was it?
political
Yeah, political.
commodity.
Political property poor in the sense that people will continue to abuse our people. You understand? Take government money and say, oh yeah, it is their own money. It is they that produce these things. Until you have an independent institution like the Justice Ministry that will hold leaders accountable, that you can use this as a political weapon or to win election, So until we can have these things done through a legal process to forbid people not to use them as weapon to win election or to influence in election, I think it's going to continue, it's going to happen. What happened when the rice shortage on the market? Was there any investigation done as to why there was shortage on the market? Who is holding the rice? And why is it the importers, when they know they see their warehouse being empty or getting empty, why is it they did not import rice on time? How did the Ministry of Commerce go about it? What did the government do? Or was it the government fault that importer brought in rice and they held the rice from the people, and the people went hungry for a couple of weeks, for which they introduced on the market, or they put on the market just to influence people to say, oh, Jamal brought rice or Paul brought rice, so for that reason, I'm going to vote for Paul. So these are things that need to be looked at from a legal perspective.
And Orita, this is political commodity, they call it. There are two things. Rice have been used, and then the thing they call wire fee for students. So those two, and Jamal strike on there about the political commodity, which is rice. Rice ran out for a week. People were crying. Today, rice is back. What your take?
My take on the using of Liberia's staple food as a political weapon. It's sad, but at the same time laughable, because we are talking about, leaders, saying that, oh, or you hear other people, from the government in power saying that, oh, but if opposition wants to, come with development, oh, they can go and, start planting rice, start doing this. But we are forgetting to know one thing. a lot of these lawmakers, they steal our country money, go in their various counties, buy huge land, and start planting either rice. I mean, they farm, and the same farming, they sell these things back to the Liberian people or people outside of Liberia within, the Sahara region, you understand? And that is wrong, because the thing is, like, as a country, you understand, it's not my duty as a private citizen to take my own money to go and say, okay, let me plant rice. And if I plant the rice to feed my people, it's the government duty. That's why we elect them. So I don't want us, shifting from that angle and trying to place some of the blame on the citizen. You understand? Because one thing is, like, when it comes to the rice is like your staple, meal. I mean, the staple food, because even here in Sweden, it's potato. And the Swede will see to it that even if there is no rice, potato that you can make mashed potato, you can make fries, everything, it will always be available. So in Liberia case, to see that decade after decade, we are still having the issue concerning, our staple food, for me, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing in that sense where we have the resources. I will share something with you gentlemen, even the watching audience. 2023, we were a bunch of Liberians living here in Sweden. The Liberian organization was going back to Liberia. So a bunch of us, we flew back. And our then president, Francis Mensah, his wife, she's from Kenya. Her mother, went with us on that trip. And that woman, I think she went around, she toured around Liberia, and then she asked my mother, she said, Gladys, what is wrong with you people? I mean, she took a piece of soil. She's like, anything can grow here in Liberia without fertilizer. It was, I mean, we know this, we've been knowing this, because before the war, in your own backyard, you could plant, cassava, anything. So it's not that the soil is not rich enough to plant rice, or that we don't have the monetary resources. We do. Once again, it's back to the corruption, because it's the corruption that is hindering this type of, scarcity when it comes to our staple, food.
Right. So before we transition to the next topic about the soil you just mentioned about, that we have a good soil. My late friend, he was only Liberia soil scientist, Mr. Lincoln. I was with him when he went through all the country, that he drops and how they call it, plum seed that eat tomorrow you see it growing. Are we Liberians in general, are we lazy? During the dry season, there's pepper shortage. During the rainy season, we get pepper. Dry season, they go to Guinea to get pepper. Is there something wrong with us Liberians? Let's forget about this government. This question to everyone: are we lazy people or what?
I will come in, Paul. Liberians are not lazy. I'm not. Yeah, they do have some Liberians. If you tell me that Liberians always want to play smart, or some always want to play smart to let other people, give their hands out, I would say yes. But Liberians are not lazy. But in Liberia, our elected officials, they have a monopoly when it comes to every commodity in Liberia. But Liberians, they are not seeing this. You have senators, legislators, they will take money, they will accumulate a large sum of money and go to their various counties. They will either, I have my rice farm, I have my pepper farm, I got my cassava farm, I got this. And that monopoly means that, okay, I will see to it that I will produce this, and the Liberian government will buy it from me. And these people are friends. They know, okay, when I mean friends, I don't mean that people they've been knowing, but they are colleagues. So it's that type of monopoly that is making it hard for the regular Liberian who now, if he or she decide to say, okay, I want to engage in farming, they make it hard for the regular Liberian because it will be like, oh, I'm, in this country, I'm the senator, I'm farming, this is mine, I'm the only person that is supposed to, engage in this. You are not supposed to, you are just supposed to work for me. So it's that monopoly that is making it difficult too. And when it comes to the fact that we like importing rice, I think it got to do with the fact that, and Mr. Cummings said this thing, a while ago, like Liberians, there are too many different doors to go through because they are making something so simple difficult. Like, okay, let's import rice. But at the same time, the same importers, they know some of these people. So the money is like, it's not even going out. Maybe some is going out, but it's going in some, government official pocket.
Great. So I want to bring Jamal and Mark in one sec. This issue that was raised, please mute yourself a little bit. The issue that was raised about Liberians, politicians need to do farm. And Jamal stressed on Golden Ferrarian and the palm farm. I know Edwin Snow, who also another person that make money out of the Liberian government, got a palm farm as well. So Liberians, the reason why are we lazy? Because you become politician overnight. If you become a senator, you become rich. You can open a massive rubber farm, but they cannot do rice farming. They will do rubber farming, they will do palm farming and other farming. So if our staple food is rice and politicians know it's rice, so the money they steal to open rubber farm or palm farm, why can't they invest that money into rice? Then here in the UK, we don't grow rice. People bring basmati, they bring yellow rice, they bring brown rice, green rice, and we have the soil. Why we can't do it? That's what I'm asking. Are we Liberians? Are we lazy too? Is that question only politician able to do it?
Yeah.
Open a farm and do that?
Yeah, Paul. There are a few things involved here. It has to do. It's a combination of laziness and not willing. So here is where I think the lazy part come in, right? Because a palm farm or a rubber farm, you don't change from one location to another, right? And the rice farm in Liberia, the kind of farming we do in Liberia, we change from one location to another because of the expertise is not there. We don't have that institutional expertise to, like when it comes to producing a fertilizer, that you can take one soil from years to years, you understand? You keep planting on that same particular location. So we don't have this kind of and you understand how they call it, an institutional mentality when it comes to agriculture. So you find our people going from one end to another. So I think that is why most of the Liberian politicians that engage into farming, they go to planting of rubber, they go to the planting of palm, and you understand, palm tree. Then when it comes to why Liberians are not engaging, for example, into the massive rice production, it has something to do if Liberian going to consume the rice, and how does the government come in? For example, if you, Paul or Jamal, going to produce, or Edwin Snow going to produce maybe 10 million bags of rice on a market, okay, local Liberian rice, and how does the government guarantee or the Commerce Ministry guarantee that Edwin Snow rice going to be sold on the market before any importer bring in rice? So, for example, like the farmers in Sweden here, they have a guarantee that everything they produce in Sweden is going to be bought. They have a system in Sweden that they are assured. The government buy their product and they have a distribution chain that distribute the products across the country, like Orita talked about potatoes. There are a lot of farmers that produce millions of potatoes across the country. But the man is not worried about taking his potato to go look for buyer. No. There's a system that is in place that this man produced maybe 2 million bags of potato, that his potato going to be sold. If his potato are not sold, when it come to how they call it export, he gets subsidy from the government to do his farming the next season. You understand? So there's something they call imitation, right? The Asian today, we talk about China, Indonesia, Vietnam, India, they imitate other people. In Liberia, we're going to be 200 years old soon. What have we imitated from other people? We have had, doctor degrees holder from one, generation to another. What have they imitated from other people to say, hey, we Liberians, it is time that we imitate these people in order for us to get somewhere, and later on, we do things originally on our own. So, Brother Paul, our people are not lazy. It just needs somebody to have, which administration, okay, going to mobilize the people into agriculture. Which administration going to mobilize the people for Liberian people to get engaged, or those that get the money to get involved into agriculture? What's the guarantee if I take my $200,000, I say, okay, I want to, planting on the next 200 hectare of land, that my planting going to be sold, and somebody importing planting from outside the country? What's the guarantee do I have? So these things need to be put in place as part. Then you encourage people to go into farming.
Right. So, Jamal, this is getting interesting, because I think we'll look at the viewer comments in a minute as well. So what you say on this issue about?
Yeah, listen, I will tell you. We are not lazy. We are not lazy. Look, listen. The fact of the matter is, the Liberian needs support. We didn't get the support from the people. These are the people who don't have their first money to buy bread and butter. How do you support them? Set the stage for them. They didn't set the stage for the people. How you expect the man to go to the farm? He doesn't have the tools. One set I will tell you right now is, when Kevin Wendell McIntosh, ADA project, Foyer Rest project, 30 million Liberian US dollars, 30 million US dollars for the Libyan government, under Ellen-led government, should have had a mechanized, a biggest rice production in our country. Why did it fail? He did not get the protection of the government to support him. I will tell you, this is it. So that's why I said rice is a political commodity. It's a political goose. So it was just intended for it to fail. That was the private citizen. It brought ADA, because African Development Agency. Wendell brought this project in, and there's an acquisition that the vice president, the former vice president, was bribed. He received some bribe for that money. It was taken to Foyer to develop. Foyer had a very good soil. They could produce the rice for us. It carried machines in our country, machineries that can produce their package, their send it everywhere, even export to other West African countries. Why did it fail? The government turned their back on them. You see why is it like Microsoft, other big companies in America have been protected by the American government? Because it helped bring jobs. It brings money to the country. So these projects come and the government turn your back on them. It failed. That's why it failed. So I'm saying Liberians are not lazy. Set the pace for us. We'll get it there. But I don't have it. Show me the ideas. Bring the expertise. Let's start with the common subsistence farming within Liberia. I'm not putting money out there. There was a bank of agriculture for Liberian people. Agriculture bank where you can get credit money before where you go start learning. Put the right people there to get the right for the job. Buy the tools for them. Keep them under surveillance. Guide them. Teach them how to produce those crops we need. You'll see how a market will be flooded. And subsidize those products they bring to the market. Help them from the farm to the market to sell them. Like they were doing at LPRC. Our people produce coffee and cocoa. My granddad was doing it in Nimba. He had warehouses of coffee. He would bring it to LPRC. They take it to the government, buy it off him, and sell it to the people. Why can't we do it right?
Great.
That's what I want to tell you.
I just want to say something. What Jamal said is the fact that when it comes to the subsidy is given to government officials.
Here we go.
Subsidy is given to government officials instead of the citizen, instead of farmers who needs it. So these are some of the things. That's why, the system is just so, it's just so messed up in a way that things that is supposed to be given to the citizen, these seem, like senators, government officials, they take it. And then they go around and say, oh, I did this in my county. Vote for me. But
Well, Paul, just quickly before we go to transition to different topic, the thing is saddening that FOIA rights project failed. You see, like you seeing what happening right now in the UK, the government is troubled. Things like when companies are going short, they want the redundant staff. Government step in. If you're saying like Wendell McIntosh having trouble with his business, bring experts to help him. It was for the benefit of the country. They let the brother die slowly. They did not help him. I mean, this is what happened. That was the only opportunity we missed. And we should have had opportunity to help the young man, to support him. If he doesn't have the right expertise to do the job, guard him up. But they said, okay, looks important. Mark, no, if I want to carry a project, if you take to somewhere in Liberia and I want to take a project to Liberia, you know what they'll tell you? You go meet one of the ministers, oh no, the project coming for the benefit of the country, but how much do I have inside? The first thing, how much do you want? What's my cut? They're not worrying about these generations. How much percent are getting? So they let Brother Winter Ambassador McIntosh project die because they didn't want to support the brother. When it failed, they started pointing finger at him that he did not manage his business well. $30 million US were given to him. He could, whether he was managing well or not, he should be helped. He should step in, helping, supporting that, put the business back on life so we can all benefit. Today we cry for rights because somebody didn't want you to succeed. Simple as that.
Right.
And Brother Paul, the problem here, it has to do with I won't just go to the ordinary Liberian people or the business sector, but it's an institutional problem when it comes to the government, right? So if you were to nominate somebody for a position and that person was to go for confirmation hearing before the lawmakers, I think as the person who in charge of the executive branch, it's not just the government. You will want to know how this person going to transform or be, how they call it, manage this institution, right? What's the goal or the target for this person? What's the plan they have in moving this institution from where it is to the next level? Then if you heard that and you're satisfied with that, this person go for confirmation to the lawmaker. The lawmakers too, they have a responsibility to ask John Brown or Peter as to how are they going to transform this institution where the institution is. You understand? And there are Senate Standing Committee for every, how they call it, institution within the society, most especially when it comes to government. What do they do if this person is not performing to their task? Do they reach to the president and say, hey, my friend, most especially our agricultural sector, it's like a handicapped institution, not just only the agricultural sector. Other institutions are completely crippled. What do the lawmakers do? You understand? It's not just the president. If we want to talk about changes in Liberia, to transforming Liberia, it has to start with the people on top and not to the people at the bottom. The parents at home, the mother and the father, they run the home. They transform the home. It's not the children that transform the home. So the transformation of Liberia in all sectors has to start with the government, the top officials. Then we'll be talking serious business.
Great. Finally, rest arrived in Liberia, and people happy today they got rest. So I just want to share the little happiness when people receive food, how they express themselves before Jamal look at the comments. So for our audience, kindly join me to celebrate the rest have finally arrived in Liberia. People ate today and they started dancing. You see, when you're...
I think that guy was dancing from Fishtown,
when your stable food appear, you eat, you drink, and you dance.
But let me let you know that's not Liberian music and that's not Liberian video. So that should come from somewhere
My
in
man,
the.
that place like in Kakata. I tell you, anyway, look
No,
at the
I think that's
comments.
from Fish Town. It's not from Liberia.
So the people happy today they got rest. The political
Was they
commodity
giving
are
it up?
following around.
Was they giving it up free?
Yeah.
How
But
much the
one
bag of rice?
thing,
How much
I
cost the
think,
bag of rice now? $75 I heard.
Yes.
yeah.
So
But I think we should commend the we are government for doing their best for finally bringing rice in the country, because our people been you know
You see, this is
they're on
what
the
you want.
verge of
This is what you want to hear from you. Say we should commend a doing job. We run out of rice, the bread rice. Here you go. There was like. Please stop that joke. This should be
no, Jamal. I
these
understand.
guys.
I'm being in a way sarcastic, but at the same time, because the fact is that
It's their responsibility.
instead of, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. But the fact is that it's the normal Liberians who been catching hard time. When I went back Liberia, some people maybe they just eat probably once a day.
Were they giving to them free? Were the food given to them free? Were the rice given to them free?
No. That's not what I mean. But I mean that it's in the country and they can buy it. So that it's just because of that. But I'm not saying that. I'm not like applauding the government. Like, oh yeah, fine. Because you are right. It's their duty. It's their duty. But
let me tell you something. If this country if Sweden run out of potato for 1 week, just 1 week, that government is gone. You know that. Just 1 week, that Swedish government is gone. Then you're telling me we should commend them for the work you have done. We should punish them for what they've done wrong to our people.
First of all, they call the agriculture minister 2:00 in the morning. They're gonna stay. How they call themselves for hearing until the next. If possible, they're gonna sleep at the parliament to know as to what the problem is. After the agriculture minister, the prime minister, the next thing the prime minister will also sleep at the parliament. If you can't provide any solution, you are out. You gone.
Right. So Jamal, we're coming to the 2-hour mark. Let's look at some of the comments and then close up with the next topic.
We will take on some comments here. General comment. We just selected comment. Nice one coming up here. We'll start with. Let me go straight here. Brother Moses G. Bono said, "This is we're talking about leadership rights and issues. This is due to bad leadership in public sectors." He said also, this is Tom S. Benson. He said, all of you on this program don't even have a garden in Liberia. That's a nice one. I like to hear. All of you,
Liberians.
I mean, I like. No, we need to be honest here. I like to read your both sides. All of you, Tom S. Benson said, all of you on this platform don't even have a garden in Liberia, but all of you discuss politics. Yeah, there you go.
I think he's wrong. I got a pineapple farm.
No, probably
so
he doesn't know us, so that's why he's saying that. I think if I will tell him what we have. Some of us have running some 25 acres of coffee farm in Dupont area. So he doesn't even know anything. So I like to raise this comment so we can read it. That's why I want to read it. It's good. That'll make it very friendly. I have another one called Then Tom S. He's also said Liberians in America are lazy and free talkers. Oh, this guy is critical of the diaspora.
Let him come to America and see if we are lazy. Let him come to the Western world to see if we are.
Then our guy himself, Guy Joyful, son Augustus, God Tommy. Wow, it's a good discussion, fellow. And Liz also Thompson. He saw Tom S. Benson also said Liberians in America are lazy and free talking. Then I'll let it go. This I'll go down to somebody else. We have Junior Tekwa. Or Takwa, what you call it. The sad part is son of lawmakers in Liberia. One of them is Prince Johnson, that is Liberian for all Liberian. How the government representing for us? I don't understand this. Okay, Tom is very common here with his statement. Okay, he said, okay, this is the one. Guys, take this. He doesn't even know where we're coming from. He said, I'm leaving this freezy platform because you guys in America don't have the capacity to do agriculture in Liberia. But only this politics and you will discuss. All right. He doesn't even know what the platform is from. So that's a very good point. I will take this from $6 next. She said, Paul, because only politicians have the money it takes to run a farm. Okay, another person called Al Dom Dopui. Say, haha, that's not Liberia, man. The music you just play. He said that's not from Liberia. He says you tell him where you're coming from. Paul said, Oliver said, Paul, that's an old video, so you should go and refresh your video. The one you just
Right.
play is very
You
old.
putting me say now.
No, the thing is, this guy was happy in Kakata when he heard about the rest arrival. So just the old school. This guy's an old school dancer, so you can listen
Okay.
to old music.
Gina Tokwa said again, I will take the last comment from him. He said, Dolly Nelson, true. He's responding to this Dolly Nelson. Dolly Nelson, true. Only lawmaker have the money agriculture job in given by the president, not the Liberian people. The president chooses who he or she trusts. It also not hard to run the farm. They want who in agriculture should know that they're doing, and it is the president of Liberia responsibility. George, we are trying, but he got to do more for Liberia. He's the president. Liberian people should not be complaining every day about their resources. So there you go. So that's the point there. These are a few comments from selected comments from the viewers. If you just join us, let us know that this is a platform. We are live. If you don't know where we're from, we are not in America. We are based in Europe. And this will discuss every topic of Liberia, politics, social issues, live things, more interesting issues too. So you can always drop your comment. We'll read it. If it's interesting, just be on the line. Don't be abusive. We will always read your lines here. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Jamal. So we're going to transition to the CPP. Recently, there was Mr. Cummings and his team came up with the team Cummings that brought a lot of people jittering, talking about this team. But before team Cummings, CDC did announce their own team, but there was not much talk about it. The Unity Party announced their team. They call it TikTok, whatever name they gave. There was not much talk about it. But why is it Mr. Cummings, his team, become the talking point? So I just want to look at this, and I will start with you, Orita. CPP Campaign Team 2023. What people talking about this team so much than the rest of the other political party announcing their teams?
I think it got to do with the fact that when Mr. Cummings came on the political scene in Liberia, everybody underestimated him, and they did all sort of things, like the incident that happened when he went to, I think it was Grand Jita with Yeke, when people threw rock, and then the whole court case thing. And I think now, because at that time people felt like they could do these things because they felt that Mr. Cummings didn't have nobody behind. And I'm not saying that, he need these people behind him, but people are afraid now because they know that, this man really mean where he do want to change Liberia. He do want to come with, some sort of organic change. And they are afraid because, for me, I really don't understand the argument nor the propaganda, because these people put together, they've been in government for 17 years. Some of them 12 years in LN and 5 years where we are. But has they decided now to resign from these, two parties and join the ANC, then people are starting to come with, you're bringing these people, that people, but these people been in government for good 17 years. So for me, I don't understand the propaganda, if I may put it, like that, because it's mere propaganda.
Right. So, brother Mark, you are.
Yeah, brother Paul. The thing is, I mean, show me one political party in Liberia that has clean politicians. Show me one. From the current government to the opposition. Because I watched the how they call it, criticism of how they call him, that endorsed Mr. Cummings, Louis Brown. Then from Louis Brown, one or two things I saw when the team comes in, I believe somebody didn't read the names or the list of team Cummings and like Daniel Cheer, right? And people were kind of criticizing the list of Mr. Cummings. But if you want to criticize Mr. Cummings, then I tell you, say, look in the closet of your political party before you criticize Mr. Cummings. And it's very difficult in Liberia for you to find somebody. You know, politics is all about influence, most especially when it comes to campaign. In order for you to win election, you need influential people. So if you go to bring people now that are not known in Liberian society that nobody have heard about before, it would take that person maybe the next 2-3 elections before Liberian people will start, gravitating towards that person ideology, you understand, or philosophy. So you have to deal with the people on the ground until when you get there, then you carry on some transformation as to who you put into what position. But election campaign is all about having influential people on your team. And I think Mr. Cummings, his list that people criticizing, let us go to the CDC. In CDC government, you got people from, we talk about war crime tribunal today, but CDC, when you talk about war crime in Liberia, the first institution they're going to go after is the NPP. Okay? It's the NPP they're going to go after. And NPP is in collaboration with the current government. And you got number 2, who next? The Prince Johnson. Okay? Prince Johnson is in collaboration with, coalition with this current government. So what Liberian people really want? They get criticized because they feel like criticizing. You don't look in your own closet and just start criticizing.
Right.
With everything Mr. Cummings came with, and with a clean record, still they got problem with it.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
I think that echo, yeah? Am I all right?
Now, before you come in, I just want you to look at this. It is a political strategy that Mr. Cummings been seeing, the thing people been ignoring, that he trying to grow this massive thing, this big thing that he involve everybody. Is in the team that he came up with. Look at the cross section of that team. Is that something that he trying to illustrate to us Liberian here?
Yeah, Paul, if you've been following ABC with Alexander Benedict Cummings from the start of his campaign, 2016 up to now, he said over and over, he's saying that Liberians belong to Liberians. Liberia belongs to Liberians. He won Liberian for cross section. On the 3rd of October, he made it team's Cummings. 43 people were selected. And on the base, he said, team Cummings will be based on geopolitical, ethnic, culture, and religious ground. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he meant. So if you look at that, the little one he just put up, he said more to be added that will reflect geopolitical, cultural, religious, and tribal ground. So everybody will be part of this. Is the boat he carrying? That's a Noah's Ark. Everybody has to be on. So this is why he's telling Liberians people, whether you're from that background, if you are from their tribe, it's not your choice. You were born as that trapped. It's who you are as a person, not the ethnicity. So if you're good, we'll bring you on. Liberia belongs to all. So this is the kind of message you're taking. This has been saying from the start of the shit. So people trying to figure, they got a message resonating right now. Now Liberia belongs to every one of us. We're not dividing here. So you love Daniel Che, the Louis Brown, these people, and these are heavyweight. Like my brother Max said, if you're bringing people on the board, they make names. Like in journalism, name make news. Names make news. It's not only name, but popular names. If we bring something like what is the money? Beyonce right now on the show, it will be more than 1 million people will be attracted to the show. If we bring John Peter from somewhere who nobody knows him, nobody listens to you. So that's how it is. When Louis Brown, other people, including few names on the list, I can call you. Those are powerful names. Paul, there are names that you can't avoid when they come on the show. They are like heavyweight. I'll tell you, come someone heavyweight, permanent. Dr. Mark Tobana McIntosh, Louis Brown, George Westner, yeah, the Dan Morias. These are Center for Refugee. They got people like Julia Donkin Cassell, Maria Sangari, like people like Yaka Koluba, Daniel Che. You can't, those guys, you can play with them. They're powerful. They got their opinion leaders. You see, that will make moves. So everyone, they will bring not less than 50% to the team. So this is why, yeah, just to repeat what you're saying, his team, the idea is, Liberia, this is a boat I'm bringing. Everybody has to be on board. I'm going to make selection across the board. That's the idea. Whether you like it or not, that's Komi's idea, and that's the CPP idea. And we will follow, we appreciate that. And
So
to add to that, the list is not completed yet.
yeah, so because of the cross session and those big names that he brought, is that why the other people are jittering?
Of course, let's agree. For instance, Orita Mena is a very popular person. Mark is a popular person in this area. When you talk about go and move, they are coming to a show. People show up because they want to listen to what you're going to hear. Let me tell you what happened during the Civil War. When during Charles Taylor, one thing I didn't like, Charles Taylor could command radio. This guy got on the radio. He had a voice. He had English to his command. When he speaks, everybody listen. BBC helped this guy fight that war because he know how to command. That's the power he had. People that he bringing, Louis Brown is a very good talkative. He knows his way around. Daniel J has his own group. He was a military man. He got people behind him. Like other people, when you're on their team, that's a heavy weight. That's a heavy weight. That can't go unnoticed, Paul. What are you talking about? Tell me names, other things that you talk about. Look at the CDC bringing names. Other names are there that have already been moving. Those guys move mountains. They are move makers. So Komi, that's why Komi is now. People like my sister Orita said right now, from 2016 when we went to Maryland up to now, there were rocks to stone throwing at him and everything. You know what happened? He got to a level that the ultimate opposition. Where's the old man himself? Where's Uncle Joe? You are going to those districts. He's not even getting the notice anymore. The move he's making right now is getting to where it's George Weah. He had an issue with George Weah last and that debate that elevated into another level. Other politicians have been putting comment on who they listen to. Only Cummings. Even the what do you call him? The Senator Johnson had to bring one of his speeches about the guy support gay right. It made news. They didn't know it's against him, but it's promoting him. But I was saying something on the show today that speaking about gay right, it's not the choice of Cummings. If you want to get help from the West, you got to live to that without. If you don't want the West to get help from the West, they will tell you condition one: gays have to be given the right. They are citizens. They are human beings. You need to take it all. We don't give you the support, and you got to show that support off. I know we all religious, like we're a religious country. We don't support that, but that thing, if you want to be a president, that have to be an issue. This is the reason that George Weah came back from America. That lady came, an ambassador came, who she is, to come back to speak about this crime code again, war crime code, because they're asking if you want for to give you support. We need to come back to that country and talk to the people. Okay, you're welcome to come. Were they before they're talking to us on national radio? No, they were coming in back to us speaking. Now they're talking to us on public radio. So it means somebody's coming out. So if you want something from me, this is my condition, terms of conditions. So going back to your question, ABC, which is Alexander Benedict Cummings team, is a team. You can have heavyweights, and that heavyweight make names. Those heavyweight make names. So those names make news, and that news make mounting, and that move makers. If you're not bringing more to come, just watch out.
Yeah, so that's a valid point because of the heavyweight people that won election before, they are in that thing, and the party CPP chairperson too. He's another heavyweight. So I think you're right, but now people jittering and say, wait. So this guy that came and he said he only has 7% of the vote. Today now they're seeing that 7% will be going up to 38 to 40% with the surrounding. The names that he brought, he have not yet come up with a campaign manager. He just listed a few people, say, these are the team, but there are more to follow. And people start now jittering about it. So imagine other names that will come tomorrow. So what does that say? Is the man on the right path to victory? Brother Mark?
Uh, uh, our people are their own. They have their own prescription when it comes to as to where they want Liberia to be. It's like, for example, somebody standing across the river and looking on the other side. You're standing in the mud, right? And you see the other dry land across the river. And you're wondering, oh, look at that beautiful land across the river. I want to get to that beautiful land. But are you prepared to build a bridge to getting across this river? You understand? So that's Liberian people right there. Like somebody wishing every time they come outside, they see the star. They see the moon shining. Oh, how do I get to that star? But what are you doing if you want to get to that star, right? And Liberian people, I think they have the opportunity now to send message to future leaders that if you come to power, you're not doing the right thing the first time, we vote you out. You understand? And Mr. Cummings, the good thing about what has unfolded over the past 8 months when it comes to his prosecution that are compared to some historical happening in the Bible, right? When Joseph and his brothers sold him as a slave. So this Serena Seafood thought he was doing Mr. Cummings a great harm, and you understand, humiliating Mr. Cummings. But today now, Mr. Cummings has become the talk of the whole country, from home to the diaspora. And Liberian, look, Paul, we are just not, we don't know what we want, in the sense that there's a political philosopher who says during a presidential campaign, when a presidential candidate is hiding or running from his opponent in a debate, it should tell you that he doesn't have what it takes to run our country. And if you're there, you'll go for that person, you people are heading for disaster. And that's what happened to Liberia. This current president, he ran from few debates. And the people around him, they knew that he never had what it takes. What his recipe to the Liberian people to solving the Liberian problem. When you go into the kitchen to cook, if you say you're a good cook, they ask you, they say, man, yeah, what the ingredient you have, or what the recipe to get certain food when you understand. For example, jollof rice or XYZ, ain't no dish prepared. And you get there, you start stuttering, the man come and cook nyama nyama for all in Liberian saying. And you understand. But if the man doesn't come before you to tell you how you're going to get that food cooked, you can't employ that man to be a cook. But the one that tell you, say, oh yeah, I need X, Y, Z, you understand, the ingredient, and that will get the food done. Right there, it gave you the taste. The man cook the food, yeah, but from what the man explaining to you, it gave you the taste that, man, the guy will be a good cook. So Liberian did not hear that from George Weah. And you have somebody who since 2017, since the first election, that was his first election, and he tell you how he going to get things done. He tell you his recipe that he got in moving the country, and you understand, getting the job done in Liberia. And still yet Liberian people reject him, but now it has come to the point that you got the people mind divided that he's the person, but this tribalist patronic and sentiment that it's a problem in our country and not looking at what is at stake. It's also one of the key factors that Liberian people are still struggling to make up their mind when it comes to Mr. Cummings. So right. I don't have time for people, that's why the voter education is needed in Liberia after this election, and it should be something that any government should invest into to educate our people across the country as to why they should vote this person or why they should vote this lawmaker or this person to be a president. It's not about you, it's not about me, but it's about the whole entire country.
Right. So we have been here for the 2-hour mark. Let's take just 5 minutes to talk about a few things, and then we call it a day. And I want Jamal and Urita to come into this. When Mr. Cummings came on the scene, people are saying, oh, he don't know Liberian politics, he's new, and we don't know him. He been in the country since 2016, 2015. He been doing his thing on the ground. Is that a message now that he telling us, don't take me for fool? I understand Liberian politics to a highest level, because what he done with this selection, what does that tell you? That somebody who understands the nitty-gritty of Liberian politics, that people taking him for granted and say, oh, he's new. He does not know Liberian politics. I want you guys to dive in for the next 5 minutes before we go. So, Orita, I will start with you before Jamal.
I think Liberians, I won't say Liberians. Politicians they underestimate Mr. Cummings. And Mr. Cummings always say that, leading a multi-million, international corporation, I believe that it's much harder than running a little country like Liberia. But people keep saying, oh, it's politics, is it? But it is the same thing, because the fact is that the institution that are put in place determine how, the success you want to achieve will happen. So in Mr. Cummings case, a lot of so-called, okay, I don't want to use the word so-called politician, but I think I will still use it. They did underestimate Mr. Cummings. So now it's like, okay, I'm playing on the field where people feel like this is not my field. But in life, nobody can decide the next man fit. It's up to oneself to say, you know what, I want to do this. I'm going to learn what it takes, what I need to do. And Mr. Cummings did all that before even coming on the political scene. And so they did it. And by doing so, they tried everything. I'll go back to the case against him, you understand? They knowing that, they had no evidence. It's okay. Let's just do this to get him off course. It didn't happen. So now they're like, oh, this man, we've been doing everything. We've been saying everything that he don't have what it takes to lead a country. But they are forgetting to know that Mr. Cummings he is equipped with every tool one need to reach success. And something Liberian people are missing. I live in Sweden, you understand? I work with youth. You got people from different sectors in the Swedish society who are coming there. Some of them are bosses, but it's the leadership skills they have that is paving the way for them to venture into a whole different, field than what they are used to. And in Liberia, when Liberians are saying that, oh, this is Liberia, Liberian politics, it's not politics. What we keep saying decade after decade, it's not politics. It's just a few individuals who just been, depriving citizens of their human rights, and every other, thing that they are entitled to in the society, and using that as, okay, since I'm the one in the driver's seat, I will decide your fate. So with Mr. Cummings, I feel like he is going against all these different so-called political trajectory that, in the Liberian in society, that is not equivalent to organic, politics. So yeah, they are afraid now because they're like, okay, this man he means business, and Mr. Cummings means business.
Okay, so Jamal, I just want something happened in Liberia, and Orita touched on it. The court case that Mr. Cummings used his influence to bring Sherry Blair and others in to do a forensic investigation. They found the government they had no case. Now, recently there was sanction put on people in Liberia. The entire government accused Mr. Cummings of bringing sanction. So I spoke to somebody in Liberia, and the person said, "That Mr. Cummings man, I hired him, man, but papi da ba papi. But then I was in Douala market. This little boy was selling donut. He stumped the toe and the whole donut pan fell. He got mad, said, "They come in, man, making people donut to fall." I just want you to talk about this. Why everybody is talking about this coming, man? Talk to us.
Paul, the thing is, that's why we are saying, I think Orita touched on it. Mark, I think Mark going to say something also. But let me tell you something. Omi has been playing his game very well. He listened, and he listened, and he listened, and he followed Liberian people cry. And one thing he's been saying from the start, he wants to work with Liberia, no matter your tribe, your gender, religions, political affiliations. He's building on that. He's building on that successfully. That getting him across to everybody. And so that also think that what is happening also that they fear, they are blaming them, people are blaming, and the government is blaming for their aim, their fail, their how do you call it, their inadequacies, like the problem they're going through, like what happened out there, anything that happened for international level, they put the blame on because he had a connection outside. Well, if Comey want to use his connection, it reflects his international muscle. That's a different ball game in Liberian politics. He has not even started doing that yet. He has not even started doing that. The connection he has outside, he start reflecting. Not that he doesn't even kind of person believe in that. Let me take you back to the court case. If Comey want to make the case muddy, the situation in Liberia muddy, you should have taken those guys who took him to court. You're taking back them to court, and we'll be in a total mess. The whole thing have been messed up to today. Yeah. But what he did not. He just put that on the side and put out the rest. He keep on something. He focus, and he now good thing I want to tell you. He bringing people that sound. Well, let's agree that people that are around him, most of them are honest. Yeah, that you've selected and they work to the letter. I can assure you, Georgia is one-time president. Let me agree that Georgia is one-time president. If the people that you've selected work to the letter, work hard, and do what you want, not being because in Liberian politics, we probably will play these kind of game, where we show to the people that we are in, we are not in, we're giving the other side because we're sitting on the fence. Those guys, they know the geopolitics of Liberia. Those heavyweight that he got on, including other people that are coming on. So he still building that capital. The political capital is building. They're building very well, Paul. From Maryland, the gay issue against him, which are all fake. Where this guy Obeki said he made up against him, and people still, they try to. One thing I know about people, when Paul said Jemai is a criminal, everybody take on Jemai as a criminal without any investigation. Yeah. That's what happened. Oh yeah, they say he's a criminal. Oh, I heard he's a criminal. Do you have proof? No. I heard he's a criminal. Everybody's saying he's a criminal. So, my missus wanted to ask me, he said, they heard that your president, you guy you're supporting is a gay. I said, who said that? He said, I heard that. Oh yeah, you heard it. Did you hear? No, he's not. Does he has a wife? Of course he has a wife. He's not. So I made it up. The video that Obeki came said that he made it up. I put a video about, oh yeah. So this is what's happening in the country. So we don't investigate. Somebody just said we need to carry on the voter education to know what we can do. Like the $6 Nation said that George working with the platform will implement the war crime code. Where is it today? So this man is he's playing the game. He presented a case to Liberian people. They are listening to him, and he listening to the story. He bring the bread and butter issue to the table. That's the problem people are figuring to know. And every time he travel outside, if this guy tells you who he meets and talk to, you'll be scared. I mean, Mark said that he knows. If most of our decisions are made from outside, because 80% of Liberian decisions made from outside. Mm-hmm. If the decision is made from outside, my brother, we are in trouble. We are in trouble. George's attitude recently changed because American told him what to do. He doesn't have his own decision. So if, like you said, Mary Blair or Claire Blair come into the game, one of those things, they mess it on many of the international bowls, many powerful bowls. Just one of the bowls attendant just allow you. We don't want to go in detail, so we want to see what's going on. They want to mess with our reputation. Let's see what's going on in Liberia. They went and started doing some research. A week later, the whole case went out of court. That's one aspect. So I'm just telling you, he's not even using that part yet. He's being honest. On his campaign team, he want to bring everybody on board. And because he's trying to show what he's showing, Liberian people know what he capable of. Now they kind of pick it up. He coming to prominence. And the good thing about the Paul, once they're saying that he's bad, they make him popular. That's why they don't know. Yeah. So that's the issue. When they say, oh man, he's bad, he's bringing this thing. People say, who is this bad man? Well, the Paul is a criminal. Let me see that criminal face. They say, oh, this is a criminal. At the end of the day, the fight is not a criminal. So they should, the good thing they should not have to even talk about it, but they didn't know if you speak about your opponent, it make it more popular. That's the part they don't know about the politics. So in all, he's playing his game well. He presented a case to Liberian people. He's speaking to the issue, the broad important issue, and you should keep doing that. And you get the attention of Liberian people. Then you get to what he's doing, and you get the people that are around. They know the geopolitics of the country. I know he will listen to them, and he will listen to their advice, and he will do well.
Yeah.
Let me add on to somewhere that Jomar stopped. You understand? Mr. Comey is someone with thick skin. He doesn't have a thin skin. If Mr. Comey had a thin skin, there's a lawsuit against CNN from former President Trump, and he cataloged all those videos, those negative things that were said about him. You understand, through the network, and you got men like Obe who doesn't, I want to believe, have $100,000 in his bank account. And that video is there. You understand? If Comey go after such character, it's not a good thing. He's a father. He want to lead a country. It meant a Prince Johnson, a war criminal, convicted one by the Liberian society, putting all the kind of statement, it come and go after him. The Liberian people say, oh yeah, he got light skin, right? Thin skin. Mm-hmm. So, and then two, you talk something about this thing Liberian people always saying, I've heard it before. Oh, you don't understand Liberian politics. You don't understand Liberian politics. Yeah. And I dare anybody $1,000. What is Liberian politics besides nonsense? Mm-hmm. What is Liberian politics? Give me one fruit it has produced, Liberian politics. Besides, you tell me Liberian politics is the only definition of Liberian politics that I don't understand. It's nonsense. Where has it got Liberia? So if you say somebody understands Liberian politics, stupidity, make unnecessary decision that got the country in the worst of, degradation that you can imagine. Is that why you talk about somebody don't understand Liberian politics? And then two, if you talk about institution, every institution has its own bureaucracy. You don't just get there and start changing things overnight. You go through different process, the HR department, this other department, that other department, and you transform the institution. And I think the problem is with the leadership, how we want to transform this institution or how we want to perfect this institution. Okay? These are the problems that we face with in Liberia. So it's nonsensical to hear Liberian people say, oh, yeah, you understand Liberian politics. You understand Liberian politics. But those that understand Liberian politics that are elected, what have they done for the country? So I just want to end it out there, Brother Paul. I dare to see anybody who would define Liberian politics for me. Besides you tell me, say, Liberian politics, the definition is stupidity.
Right.
Constituency, that what it can be saying for you, can you?
So,
and Brother Paul, when it comes to Mr. Cummings, right, there are names that, for example, if you're looking for a leader, you're looking for a leader who has contact in the international community, in a business environment, you understand? And this man, being from Coca-Cola, he has met people, government officials, top dignitaries, you understand? Business executive. You know what it means for you to be invited to the World Economic Forum as an ordinary man who's not working anymore? You know what it means? That only billionaires attend those forums. Top business executives. You know some of the people that Mr. Cummings, he's take himself so simple that certain things, one or two names I will call, okay? Mr. Cummings, he got contact with people like Warren Buffett. You know how many investment Warren Buffett has? That Mr. Cummings can influence to say, hey, your guys are into companies in Asia, and I want to tap into that number to open one or two branches in Liberia. Like Mark Bloomberg, like the Clintons, the Bush. But he's not somebody that, go around to brag about these things. Sometimes when you talk to Mr. Cummings on the phone, you say about Mr. Cummings, why you can't do that? Because Liberian people, that's the thing that moved them. And he's not like that, Paul. It will be surprising to Liberian people, Mr. Cummings become the president, his motorcade will be maybe 5 or 6 cars. Don't be surprised.
It wouldn't surprise me. He lived in England, and the Queen, she never traveled with her ring. So it was just one 2 cars, finish. You don't need all those. So we've been here for a long time. Jamal, you want to look at some of the comments so we can wrap up? You muted.
Yeah, thank you. I want to look at the video comments, ladies and gentlemen. If you just joining us, this is the Border Liberia. We're on the stream live discussion, panel discussion on issues, 20 issues from Liberia. Today, we're discussing a couple of topics. Now, we were on the Communist Campaign Team for 2023 in Liberia. We will have selective comments from our viewers. So we'll go for on the topic, on the discussion. Now, we'll look at, is that Kamal Johnson or Jemai Johnson? Exactly. Photo education need to be looked at keenly. He also came up, or he or she said, there is something magnificent that he always does. That's why people always talk about him. And this person is specifically talking about Cummings. And now Joseph Konto just came in one comment said, Joseph said, the Liberian party is all about lying on their opponents to destroy. Okay, there you go. The Liberian party is all about lying on their opponent to destroy them, as well as saw in the bogus cases against the Cummings. When the bogus case was brought against the Cummings, we saw even the former vice president was quick to jump on board on the side of the government to lie on him. So those are the selected comments we have, and we have another. Yeah, there are a couple of comments came in through just to do because we time.
You muted.
No, because time is fast spent. We just take selected comments from viewers. We want to say a big thank you for those who have been following us for the past 2.5 hours. We've been here today, and those who didn't have a chance to put your comments, we appreciate that. And we always say follow us every Tuesday and Saturdays. We always want to be here on the same dial with your panelists. Every time we'll be discussing issues that affect Liberia and Liberians.
Thank you, Jamal. I want to make this quick announcement before there will be an ANC convention this coming weekend. It will be in Baltimore, Maryland, and tickets are on sale. It will be one of the biggest. So a lot of big names from around the world will be in Delaware for this convention. It's the last convention before the election, and this will be one of the biggest fundraiser again. They're going to raise over millions of dollars for this because we know campaign require money. So this is an announcement out there. So Baltimore people started flying already. There will be a convention. So I just want to put this there for those in the area that want to attend ANC convention. The details are there. You are free to go, pay your money, and meet other people. So before we wrap up, guys, I just want you guys to just summarize from today's show, then we can close up. So I will start with the lady in the house first. To Rita.
Yes, Paul. I mean, it was a good show, and the topic we have, for me, I really liked it because they are accurate, and with accuracy, I mean the things that are happening. And I pray and wish that for once, Liberian will be selfish and put themselves and their children ahead of leaders who are not in their best interest. So this is actually what I want to say. This is my prayer for all Liberians. And let's stop the tribal, religious, and class, think that, okay, this person have this, he or she can help me, so I will vote for them. Oh, this person helped me, it's, for me, I see it's like they are going, Liberians elect these leaders and turn around and go from office to office and beg for their own birthright. And that is something for once this time around 2023, let all Liberians put aside, the tribal thing and let them be selfish for once and vote for themselves and their children and their children's future. So that's all I have to say. And
thank you, Mr. Judy?
Yeah, for me, I just wish that Liberian would wake up with a new kind of a mentality and approach towards people that they elect. For example, starting with the lawmakers, that how often they engage their constituency when it comes to palaver hot engagement, and how they, I mean, what is unfolding in the country, how often they talk to their people. And then two, if not, Liberian people should create the kind of a one-time opportunity. If you're not performing to expectation, they give you one-way ticket, never to return. The Aaron Sharon did to somebody, one-way ticket, never to return. So that to the up to the president. If you're not performing, they give you one-way ticket and never to return to the scene again. So I wish Liberian people, no matter who you are, where you come from, which ethnic group or political institution you belong to, we give you one-way ticket. After the first 2-3 years, we know that the fish head is rotting, and we're just waiting for the rightful time to give you that your ticket, your red card, and never to get on the scene again. So that's my wish. That's what I wish Liberian people would just wake up in the majority to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Even you don't have to speak out, but you just wait and go to the ballot box. And once you send that message out there, politicians are going to do the right thing. So thanks to people that, I mean, to our viewers for listening today, and look forward to the next program. And thanks to my fellow panelists.
Great. Jamal?
No, I don't have much to say. Just a thank for those who've been following us. Thanks for all the panelists tonight. And it has been a great discussions. I will be every Tuesdays and Saturdays. Please, if you watch or if you this is your first time joining us, always catch up this time from 8 Central European time, 8 o'clock. And on Saturday, same time, we'll be discussing issues concerning Liberia and Liberians. You're very welcome to put your comments. We'll read it, and please be responsible. And with your comments, we'll read them out to so we can share our views on it. Thank you very much for having me, Paul.
Right. I'll say thank you to you guys, to all our viewers. I think the show was good, and with the topic that we had on a discussion about the TRC recommendation with the U.S. ambassador to Liberia, I think it's some sort of message is sending to our government to do something. It's about time that Liberia need to be healed. We talk about the rest issue that have been resolved, and it's good now that we have people today, the jubilating, they were able to have some rights. And I think we need to do something. Maybe the next government will prioritize agriculture to be the base of Liberia. So we talk about the CPP list that were put out that got everybody talking. I think it's a good thing. And Mr. Cummings has shown some sort of strong leadership style that people took him for granted. And I would say thanks to our viewers. Just for your first time joining us, just click on the like button, so wherever time we comes on, you'll be notified. So all in all, I will say thanks to our audience. Before we go, I want to leave you with the #1 hit music in the UK. And this music been on the chat room for a while now. So I'm going to leave you with this music. Just listen to my brother Eugene Fagon.
I cannot get me for late here to drive for the 7,000 hour car. Now what you were camping for? That's stupid. That is what camping for your steps on to wash a car. With the West Champagne, 350 you went out. That is what camping. That is what camping. Or you feel like to kill lobster and he's showing the baby chicken and driving at the 8,000 hour car. That is what camping. That is what camping for Janako to be controller general. Why a web that this is it was. That is what camping. That is what camping for Bessie Yeke to be head of place. Why a web that one of the people want to ask for. That is what camping. That is what camping for Emma Castro to be the head of NAFA. While husband is a consultant to Marita. That is what camping. Oh, that is what camping for family events. I'm going to detail.